facing multiple crises such as famines, wars, climate change. Why is gender equality such an important issue for the United Nations?
For the same reason that the world is facing all of these 21st century problems, I would include poverty, inequality, peace and security. All of those big 21st century challenges cannot be solved without empowerment of women and gender equality. Because in order for the world to address poverty sustainably, the lives of mothers have to improve because they are able then to address the quality of life of their own children, and they are able to give a better life to their offspring and the next generation. If you don't address that with women, women will give birth to the next generation of poor people. And in that way, we're not going forward, we go backwards.
Pour avoir une vision plus globale concernant la pauvreté des femmes dans le monde, je suis partie pour Rome. C'est là que se trouve le siège de la FAO, l'Agence des Nations Unies, dont le but est de lutter contre la faim dans le monde.
Within every single culture, you see that there are huge gender inequalities. At the same level of education and experience, a woman will have a salary that's significantly lower than a man's salary. This is not only an issue for poor countries, it's poor countries and rich countries. This is all over the world. Another big body of evidence shows us that women tend to use their income and their earning in a much higher way, much more significant way, to feed their homes. The proportion of a woman's salary that goes for food is higher than the proportion of a man's salary. So if women's salaries or their their income increase, we know that a lot of that increase is going to go into their children's health.
Belong to men, not to women. Less access to fertilizers, to inputs, to water, great. Knowledge, access to improved seeds, access to new methodologies to produce better and quicker. All of that is concentrated in men's hands. What if women had the same access that men already have? Of course, women became more productive. Those increases in productivity would take to a major increase in overall production and food. What if this would happen? economies. We believe that more than 100 million people would be lifted out of hunger if women had the same access to productive resources in the agricultural sector as men already do.
Thank you for the speakers. If anybody has any questions, we have a few minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentations. I must say I'm going into the next session, and it's about raising the quality of your consciousness. And I thought this was an excellent introduction to that, because it actually stimulates the thinking, and it stimulates also a lot of questions. And I've been in the UN for 20 years. And also been a UN resident coordinator, so I've been coordinating everything that's happened within the UN in different countries, different contexts. I worked on emergencies, I worked on child rights, women's rights, and you don't talk about women's rights. And I'm sorry, ladies, you have to speak out for women's rights, because the inequality, it's an issue of rights. We can talk about it as if we are both equal, and I think you made a very nice point about this. If we don't raise the status of women, there are no rights. So rights are about the realization of our potentials at the same level. So in order for women, and you asked, why is it happening? Why are women blocked from their land rights? Because the parameters are set by men who've been ruling for centuries. I'm working in Africa. I lived in Africa for 20 years. And what you're saying about women's access to land is perfectly right.
Almost zero.
It's almost zero. And why it's zero? Because the legislation favors the men. The constitution, the new constitution of Kenya, favors the men of Kenya, where women are not even, they're recognized, as President Obama said in July last year in Kenya, don't treat your women as secondary citizens, he said to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Don't treat your women as something, we need to invest in the women, but treat the women as human beings with human rights. That's what I wanted to say, because I feel it's missing from the discussions that we don't talk about rights as if rights is something that's...
But you were missing.
I was missing. No, but I think we need to dare...
I'm sorry, Carrie, but you know, I talked about also rights and human rights.
No, but in this session...
But not to, yeah, but we don't have much time, do we?
No, but that's not an excuse, because you have to look at it. In the United Nations, we have peace, development, and human rights as the three major pillars, and we're not using the third pillar.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
I was asking...
I think just continue commenting on this. It's not a matter of speaking about the woman rights. If there is no solid legislation, which will allow the rights, then they don't go begging for it. They will have the framework of legislation and laws and policy, which will enable them. Then it's if we speak about the rights without this power of law on their hand, they will never go and get credit, they will never go and sell, and they don't have even, in the same household, they don't have the freedom to do what they have to. I have seen in the world, in different parts, in Central Asia and the Caucasus, in Latin America, different communities. The ladies do the marketing, but sometimes they do the production and the marketing, and the man is sitting there. But after that, when they bring the money, the men will take the money, and they throw it away. And therefore, legislation is the number one on this. Thank you.
Can I say one thing on that one? Because what we are seeing, is missing is exactly what you say. It's the combination of the understanding of rights and the claim of the rights, because the women don't know that they have rights. They are sitting in the villages, they are distance or miles and hundreds of kilometers away from the legislative body, and that's the problem. There's no trickle-down effect that works when it comes to legal transformation. It has to be people need to be powered from below to claim from the above.
Yes, so they have to be empowered in the sense they have to take the power, and they have to negotiate also with their partners. That's what happens.
Yeah, but here's a crazy idea. You know, good people like Professor Baltaji and whoever working in this area, you're aware of it. You're very aware of it. And like Madame said, if the money, it was the Italian lady, say if the money was given to women, they'll be so much more productive in saving 100 whatever million people per whatever. To me, it's significant numbers anyway. The key point is, why can't the men that understand this issue very well, working with UN, with FAO, and all these things that you mentioned, you're very well informed, why not bring those guys together and to say, to make the positive discrimination, forget the countries, that you yourselves from UN make the positive discrimination, say, we're going to give the women so much more. After fertilizer, after land, we're only going to give to the women. As an experiment, as a pilot project, when we see the result, how can the country stop and say, no, I want the men to have it? They can see that the country will be better off with women's work with agriculture. I can't understand this. Pro-women or pro-logic men, why don't they do it? You know?
Okay, I just wanted to say a word about elevating women. I think one of the best ways to do it after 50, 100 years of talking about treaties and putting women forward, I cannot see a lot of tangible results in 2013. So I would say that we really need to work hard and bring women into decision making, because when they are there, then they can get things moved for themselves. I mean, we cannot do nothing for women without including women. So women needs to be there on the table to negotiate. We need to bring up that balance. If women only own 1% of the land, let's bring women on the table, and then you will see the difference. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. But what you said about Rwanda was in a way a good example, because it shows that women are the leaders and it works perfectly well. But we also know that it's because there was a lack of men, because they had all gone to wars and died. And so that's why we need quotas to show that women can be also good leaders. So that is one possibility. And also, you know that the UN Women, for example, has started this campaign called He for She campaign.